Civilization or Barbarism in Authentic Anthropology by Dr. Cheikh and Diop. 1 therefore sees how abusive it is to credit Heraclitus alone with the theory of opposites. This was a commonplace to all those Greek scholars who had studied under the Egyptian priests and who were using almost word for word the laws of opposites of the Hermopolitan cosmogony, or were contenting themselves with making variations on the same theme, as Aristotle shows. All the ancients, in fact, use the opposites as elements, and, as they say, as principles, although they adopt them without rational motive, as if truth itself were forcing them to do so. They distinguish themselves one from the other by using the first or the last ones, the most easily known according to reason, or according to feeling. Some hot and cold, some humid and dry, others the odd and the even, while others pose friendships and hatred as causes of generation. Physics 1:5. Thus, if Heraclitus emerges from the group, it is due to a large extent to the fact that Marx consecrated him as the inventor of the dialectic, whereas he was essentially an obscure thinker. Lastly, Aristotle, even though he criticizes the ancients, when all is said and done, accepts the opposites as principles, to which he adds matter, considered as subject, which he writes brings the explanatory principles of the universe to 3 instead of only 2. For him, matter is accidentally non being, while privation, meaning the absence of form, is non being in itself, a distinction that Plato does not make. Thus, we have the following two opposites: form and privation, absence of form, joined together by matter, a subject that desires form like the female, the male. It is almost a transposition on the physical plane of Plato's pair of terms joined together by a geometric or arithmetic mediator. One will remember that Aristotle was Plato's pupil. This is why one must say that, in one sense, the principles, laws, are 2, in another sense, 3, and in one sense that they are opposites, as if one is speaking of the literate and the illiterate, or of hot and cold, or of the harmonious and the inharmonious. In another sense, not for there cannot be any reciprocal passion between opposites. But this difficulty is in turn overcome by the introduction of another principle, the subject. Thus, in a certain way, the principles are not numerous than the opposites, and they are, one can say, 2 as to their number, but they are not absolutely 2 either, but 3. Physics, 1:7. Aristotle thinks that one of the opposites will suffice by its presence or its absence in order to cause movement, in order to get an idea of the subject, one need only think of how bronze is related to the statue or wood, matter, to the bed, or the relation of that which lacks form to that which has form, prior to the reception to the acquiring of form. Such is the relation of matter to being. Physics 1:7. Aristotle shows or maintains in Book 7 of his Metaphysics that it is the form that is substance and not the subject. Matter is eternal. The spheres of reality are classified according to degrees. From matter, the first term, whose being is only a being in potentiality, to the pure form, the divinity that is the prime mover, the principle, and the same time the goal of the evolution of the world, the efficient cause, and the final cause. Throughout the above quote, we find the concepts of the Egyptian cosmogony rejuvenated, embellished perhaps, but always recognizable. The theory of opposites of the Hermopolitan school, the creation in potentiality, and in actuality, the pure form meaning the eternal essence, the archetype, as last reality and final cause of the world's evolution. All this sends us back to Egypt. As a matter of fact, is it not to actualize the essences, the archetypes, the pure forms of the none, that evolution got started with the law of the transformation of matter? Kepera, soapy, Coptic, soapy, and Wolof. Therefore, in Egyptian philosophy, it is indeed the divine essence, the pure form that is the final cause of the movement of matter and of its evolution, its goal. The movement of matter has no other finality than to make these essences, these pure forms, go from potentiality to act. And Aristotle adopts the Keplerian concept of movement that is accompanied by change, by transformation, instead of ending up with an infinity of identical displacements. There is present, indeed, this desire of matter to take form in the nous, of which Aristotle speaks. Also, this passage from potentiality to act, because all beings, even the divinities, including Ra, were first created in potentiality and waited for centuries and centuries, meaning an eternity, before they were created in actuality. Therefore, Aristotle very often contents himself with reversing a little the direction of evolution, and not even, since the pure form, final cause of the universal movement was already there. In the beginning, in the Egyptian system as well as in that of Aristotle. We'll pause right here. Continue back. Civilization or barbarism. Chapter 17. I'm Uriel. Highest Harlem.